Government forces there seem to have made little progress in fighting because they're trying to regain parts of the second city in the north, Aleppo. Activists are reporting that there's been continued bombardment of rebel-held parts of the city, but the attacks by ground forces in some areas appear to have been held off.
The road into Aleppo is lined with the destroyed armour of government forces. It shows how far the rebels have come in taking the fight to President Assad. But the hour of reckoning is coming. A nervous Free Syrian army monitors the sky. Thousands of Assad's troops are massing around the outskirts of the city. In the distance, the sound of artillery. Government forces soften up their enemy as they attempt to retake control. The resistance, though, is not always violent. These pictures show protesters out on the streets of Aleppo, armed only with flags and banners.
Air and ground attacks by President Assad's forces have so far failed to dislodge opposition fighters from the many neighbourhoods under their control. In what's widely seen as a decisive battle for Syria's future, civilians have been fleeing the bloodshed, with those who can't escape seeking shelter in basements. The opposition says 168 people were killed nationwide on Saturday and that more than 20,000 people have now died since the uprising began.
With the government's offensive against Syria's largest city apparently well underway, opposition leaders are calling for international help to arm the rebel forces, telling their allies that they're going to have to bear responsibility for failing to prevent a massacre. Syrian government, though, warning of the mother of all battles if this continues. Russia has chimed in as well, saying tragedy in Syria is imminent.
Unfortunately, our Western partners prefer to do something a bit different, and essentially, along with some countries neighbouring Syria, encourage, support and direct the armed fight against the Syrian government. The price of all this is still more blood.
Continuing clashes were reported across the country. In Deir al-Zur, this unverified footage said to show the aftermath of a missile landing. And in Deira, the town that sparked this uprising, bombs and bullets continuing to sound.
Well, the international envoy to Syria and the man who spearheaded the failed peace plan, Kofi Annan, has spoken again about the situation there. He says, "I am concerned about reports of the concentration of troops and heavy weapons around Aleppo in anticipation of an imminent battle. I believe the escalation of the military buildup in Aleppo and the surrounding area is further evidence of the need for the international community to persuade the parties that only a political transition leading to a political settlement will resolve this crisis."
Syrians are flooding into neighbouring Turkey to escape the intense fighting in Aleppo. Refugees arrived in a steady stream at a checkpoint in the southern Turkish town of Kilis. They travelled 65 kilometres to get there. A Syrian man who had just arrived told NHK that food and water is scarce in Aleppo and bread costs 10 times its normal price. He said people are stranded because they can't get fuel for their vehicles. About 12,000 people are installed in the refugee camp. The camp is full to capacity.